Next, we are looking at the undisputed king of pathology. This is a masterclass on sickle cell anemia. We are going to trace this disease from a single mutated molecule all the way to a catastrophic cardiovascular traffic jam. Let's head to the emergency room. Read the scenario on the screen. A frantic mother brings her screaming 2-year-old into the ER. Look at the patient dossier. He is a 2-year-old male with a fever. On physical examination, you note scleral icterus. He has jaundice. His chief complaint is that he is screaming in agony, clutching his swollen hands and feet. Look at the clinical manifestation on the screen. This massive hand swelling is our key finding, dactylitis, also known as sausage fingers. Read the clinical pearl at the bottom. In a toddler, bone pain in the hands and feet combined with jaundice is often the very first clinical presentation of sickle cell disease. How does this happen? A single missense point mutation creates an antisocial molecule. You must memorize these genetics. It is autosomal recessive. It occurs on chromosome 11, specifically on the beta globin chain at the exact 6th position. Normal DNA codes for glutamic acid. Think of glutamic acid as the extrovert. It is hydrophilic, meaning it loves water and floats smoothly in the blood. But the sickle DNA codes for a mutated molecule, valine. Valine is the angry introvert. It is hydrophobic, it hates water, panics and hides. What makes valine act up? Environmental stressors force the hydrophobic valine to panic and polymerize. Look at step 1, the trigger. Hypoxia, dehydration, acidosis, or high altitude. When exposed to these stressors, we get the reaction. Trying to hide from the water in the cell, the mutated HBS molecules panic and latch onto each other. This causes the polymerization. Finally, we see the deformation. The cell goes from a normal, flexible biconcave disc to a rigid sickled shape. Now imagine that sickle cell entering a tiny capillary. The microscopic blood vessel becomes a catastrophic cardiovascular traffic jam. We call this a vaso-occlusive crisis or VOC. Read the sequence with me. The rigid jagged sickles enter the microvasculature. These cells physically hook onto the endothelium and onto each other. Because of this, blood flow instantly stops and the downstream tissue is completely deprived of oxygen. The ultimate result? Ischemia, tissue death, and excruciating pain. These microvascular traffic jams destroy tissue everywhere. Look at the targets. In the brain, it causes strokes. Children often develop moya or puff of smoke collateral vessels to bypass the blocked arteries. In the large bones, it causes avascular necrosis or AVN, classically of the femoral head. In the penis, it causes priapism, a painful prolonged erection. And in the small bones, it causes the dactylitis in the hands and feet we saw in our 2-year-old patient. But the most lethal traffic jam happens in the lungs. Acute chest syndrome, the number one cause of death in adult patients. Look at the mechanism. Sickle cells completely block the pulmonary microcirculation. The clinical presentation includes symptoms of severe chest pain and shortness of breath. On imaging, you will see a dense lung infiltrate visible on the X-ray. But beware the diagnostic trap. It looks exactly like pneumonia on imaging, but it is actually a massive pulmonary infarct. Now let's talk about the spleen. The disease is so aggressive it literally murders the spleen. This is the irony of the spleen. Step 1 is attempted filtration at sickle cell center to be cleared. Step 2 is gridlock, causing massive traffic jams in the splenic blood supply. Step 3 is self-destruction as the spleen infarcts itself repeatedly. And step 4 is autosplenectomy by adolescents. The spleen is reduced to a shriveled fibrotic rock. Read the comparative note. Unlike hereditary spherocytosis, where the spleen eats cells and enlarges, sickle cell causes the spleen to destroy itself. What is the consequence of autosplenectomy? Extreme vulnerability to encapsulated bacteria. Look at the pediatric killer, Streptococcus pneumoniae. This causes overwhelming sepsis and is a fact you must know. It is the number one cause of death in kids with sickle cell disease. Also, look at the osteomyelitis cheat code for your exams. Standard patients get Staph aureus bone infections, but sickle cell patients uniquely get Salmonella osteomyelitis in their infarcted bones. How do we find the diagnostic evidence? By reading the peripheral smear. You will see 3 classic findings. First, trypanocytes, the classic rigid crescent moon sickle cells. Second, target cells. These are present because the cell membrane is severely dehydrated. Third, Howell-Jolly bodies. nuclear remnants that prove the patient has no functional spleen to filter them out. What about lab tests? The sickling test relies on forced oxygen consumption. We add a chemical agent called sodium metabisulfite to the blood sample, which rapidly consumes all available oxygen. If the cells sickle on the slide, the test is positive. But read the critical board alert at the bottom. A positive test does not mean they have the disease. It only confirms the presence of the mutation. It cannot differentiate between sickle cell trait and sickle cell disease. This is very important. To differentiate them, we use the ultimate cheat code, hemoglobin electrophoresis. Look at the comparison matrix. Sickle cell trait, AS. The genotype is heterozygous, one normal, one bad gene. Electrophoresis shows roughly 60% normal HbA and 40% sickle HbS. Clinical severity, they have more normal hemoglobin than sickle hemoglobin, so there are no crises unless under extreme stress. Sickle cell disease, or SS. The genotype is homozygous, two bad genes. Electrophoresis shows 0% HbA. It is completely gone and over 90% HbS. This leads to severe chronic vaso-occlusive crises. And check out the bonus fact. Sickle cell trait, AS, provides natural protection against Plasmodium falciparum malaria. So if you have sickle cell trait, you will never get malaria. So how do we treat these patients? First is acute management, extinguishing the fire in the ER. Memorize the protocol, HOP or HOP. H is for hydration, expands intravascular volume to help flush the traffic jam and rehydrate the cells. O is for oxygen, it reverses the hypoxia trigger, attempting to stop further Valine panic. P is for pain management, intravenous opiates to manage the excruciating ischemic agony. Once stabilized, we move to chronic therapy, hydroxyurea and the fetal shield. The trick. Hydroxyurea forces the bone marrow to resume making fetal hemoglobin or HbF. The structure. HbF consists of 2 alpha and 2 gamma chains. Crucially, it has 0 beta chains. The shield effect. Without beta chains, there is no mutated valine. The HbF molecules act as physical blockers, preventing surrounding HbS from polymerizing into sickles. Let's wrap this masterclass with my final cheat sheet. First, the root cause, chromosome 11, missense mutation of glutamic acid to valine at the 6th position. Second, the trigger, hypoxia, acidosis or dehydration forces valine to polymerize and the cell sickles. Third, the pathogenesis, vaso-occlusive crisis, traffic jams leading to dactylitis, acute chest, the number one adult killer, and the autosplenectomy. Fourth, the intervention. Diagnose with electrophoresis, SS versus AS, treat acutely with HOP, and prevent chronically with hydroxyurea as your HbF shield. Take a screenshot of this, memorize it, and you will dominate this topic on exam day.